Have you heard of the most shocking story in Genesis? What led Lot, a righteous man, to impregnate his own daughters? A disturbing story, but one that carries deep lessons and reflections that many ignore. Today, we will uncover every detail of this event, and I guarantee you will be surprised by what the Bible reveals. Stay with me until the end of this video, and you won't regret it. Before we start, leave your like to support our channel and subscribe to continue receiving deep content about biblical stories like this one. And if you know someone who is interested in controversial Bible topics, share this video now. To understand why this unusual event happened, we need to go back to the beginning. Lot was Abraham's nephew, a man who walked with God, but his life changed drastically after the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot, along with his two daughters, escaped the disaster that consumed these cities. They took refuge in the mountains, in a cave, isolated and with no prospect of the future. This isolation was the catalyst for what was to come. Lot's daughters, fearing that the family line would become extinct, made a desperate decision. But was that the only reason? Lot's daughters believed that there were no more men on earth to continue their family. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah seemed to have wiped out everything around them. But were they right? Or was there something more behind this decision? The Bible mentions that out of fear they intoxicated their own father so that he would not be aware of what was happening. And so, on 2 consecutive nights, Lot, without realizing it, impregnated both daughters. The question remains, was this an attempt to preserve the lineage, or was there another hidden motive? The consequences of this act profoundly impacted biblical history. The children born from these unions, Moab and Ben-Ami, became the founders of the nations of the Moabites and Ammonites, peoples who later came into conflict with Israel. Although the story seems shocking, there is something we cannot ignore: the importance of descendants in the Bible. In several passages, the continuation of the lineage was a priority, and the actions of Lot's daughters reflect this deep fear that their family would be forgotten. This story may seem absurd and disturbing to modern eyes, but like all biblical narratives, it invites us to reflect. What can despair and fear lead people to do? Lot's daughters, instead of trusting in the divine plan, made a drastic decision on their own. And you, how many times in moments of despair have you made decisions that were not aligned with God's will? This story reminds us that even in the darkest moments, we need to keep our faith and trust in the divine plan. Now that you know every detail of this story, the question remains: what lesson can we take from Lot and his daughters? Perhaps it is about how a lack of faith leads us to desperate decisions, or how the consequences of our actions reverberate through generations. This story challenges us to think about morality in extreme situations and the importance of trusting the divine plan, even when everything seems lost. Let's delve a little deeper into the historical context. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah was a cataclysmic event that left Lot and his daughters in a state of shock and despair. These cities were known for their iniquity, and the divine decision to destroy them was an act of justice. However, for Lot and his daughters, this meant the loss of everything they knew. Imagine yourself in their place, isolated in a cave, not knowing if there were other survivors, without resources and without hope. This scenario of desolation and extreme fear can help us understand the mindset of Lot's daughters. They believed that the only way to ensure the survival of their lineage was through their father, Lot. Let's now analyze the psychology of Lot's daughters. They grew up in a society where the continuity of the lineage was vital. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah not only eliminated their homes, but also any hope of finding husbands. This desperation led them to make an extreme decision. Moreover, the decision to intoxicate Lot shows a level of premeditation and desperation. They knew that Lot, a righteous man, would never agree to such an act in his right mind. This leads us to reflect on how far desperation can drive people. In extreme situations, morality can be distorted by fear and the need for survival. The consequences of this act were profound. Moab and Ben-Ami, the children born from these unions, became the founders of nations that played significant roles in biblical history. The Moabites and Ammonites frequently came into conflict with Israel, and their controversial origins are a constant reminder of the desperate actions of Lot's daughters. These nations, despite their origins, had a lasting impact on the history of Israel. This shows us how the actions of one generation can reverberate through the centuries, influencing future events in unexpected ways. So, what can we learn from this story? First, it reminds us of the importance of context when judging past actions. Second, it challenges us to think about how we would react in extreme situations. And finally, it shows us that the Bible is a rich source of complex stories that help us better understand the human condition. This story challenges us to reflect on our own faith and trust in the divine plan. In moments of despair, it is easy to make hasty decisions, but the story of Lot and his daughters reminds us of the importance of keeping faith, even in the most difficult circumstances. To conclude, the story of Lot and his daughters is a powerful example of how desperation and the need for survival can lead to extreme actions. It is a story that challenges us to think deeply about morality, context, and human nature. And if you were intrigued by this story, I will leave more shocking and profound biblical accounts in the cards above and at the end of this video, so you can continue diving into these passages that make us reflect. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave your like, share this video, and comment below what you thought of this story. I will leave more Bible stories in the cards and at the end of this video. Until next time, and may God bless you.